Hello, wonderful people. This is Tom Check with Choice Coaching, where we help you unlock your inner awesomeness. And today we are talking about conflict. Today I am helping you explore a couple of the different types of conflict. They generally show up in two different flavors. Why conflict shows up, why it's created, what is the underpinning framework for conflict, and how do you step out of conflict? What is that like? What are the tools that you can use to have less conflict in your life? Now, obviously, there's a presupposition there that you want less conflict in your life. And that actually doesn't apply to everybody. There are plenty of people who, crazy as it might sound, want conflict in their lives. They might not say it that way, but it's true. And it's really demonstrable by their actions because they are in conflict a lot. And some people actually like conflict because it's exciting. It might not always feel good, but at least it's interesting. It's exciting. It makes the day go by, and you can feel like you're clear on whether or not you're winning or losing. And that's the value of conflict, is that it does make it so that you know who you're up against and you can determine your value based on that. But if you're the type of person who wants to internalize your sense of value a little more, so it comes from within instead of a comparison without, or if you just want to have a little less conflict so you can focus on more important things in your life, then today's video is probably more your speed. So let's start off with the kinds of conflict, those flavors, those two flavors that it comes in. The first is conflict with others. And this is what most of us immediately jump to when we think of the word conflict. The definition of conflict is a competitive or opposing action of incompatibles. It's this idea that you and I are incompatible in some way, and that incompatibility creates conflict. Now, we can have incompatibility on millions and millions of different things, all the way from the color of shirt that I wear, to my political beliefs, to my religious beliefs, to my sexual orientation. We can have an incompatibility on anything, but it's the incompatibility that creates the conflict. And then there's another flavor, right? There's this idea of conflict with self. And this is most often also has to do with incompatible ideas, where you say you want one thing, but you do another thing, right? You don't live up to the promises that you make to yourself. And this creates a deeply, deeply terrible type of conflict inside, where the people around you might not even notice that it's going on. But there you are fighting a war with yourself inside. So while both of these are similar, I think it's important to really let's look at what causes conflict in general. And it really does spark both kinds, external and internal conflict. And the first thing is that the thing that causes conflict is your attachment to an idea. I'm going to say that again. The thing that causes conflict inside of you, whether it's with someone else or with yourself, is an attachment to an idea within you. I think that everybody should be a Democrat. I think that everybody should be a Republican. I think that people should. People are supposed to. These are attachments. These are statements of attachment. And when you hear them, you know that the person who's saying them is in conflict with multiple people, most likely. And then there's also the I should. I should lose weight. I should be smaller. I should stop smoking. I should work harder. When we should on ourselves, these are statements of attachment. I'm attached to the idea that I'm supposed to be smaller somehow. I'm attached to the idea that I'm supposed to work harder somehow. And this creates a conflict inside of me. And that conflict can be useful, like I said. It can actually be useful as a motivating force. If I think I should be smaller and I'm not, then I've got a reason to go create action. So conflict in and of itself isn't bad. But undealt with and unactionable conflict is bad insofar as it makes your daily lived experience less enjoyable. I can't go make everyone believe the same things that I believe. It's unactionable. I can go, proselytize. I can go kind of demonstrate and protest, and I can try to make others listen to my views. We've got a separate video in the archive about what happens when you do that. It rarely works, but I can do that, right? That's actionable technically, but I can't actually make them believe. I can just put my voice out there in the hopes that it makes them believe. So my attachment to the idea, I can go create action on, but I can't control the outcome. So attachment creates conflict. But what creates attachment? And I really, really like the Buddhist approach to the idea of attachment. There's only two things in the world that cause you to create attachment to an idea: hope and fear. Hope that things won't change because they're good enough. Hope that I can stay the same way. And as long as everybody else changes, I'm going to be okay. Hope that others will change, right? If I want to go create motivation in myself to walk out and change the world, I need to have hope that it can happen, because that hope creates enough conflict within me to go try and change the world. It also creates enough conflict in me to go tell people to believe something when maybe they should or shouldn't. Hope and fear. Fear that things will change. Fear that people are trying to change me. Fear that I can't change. Hope and fear create attachment, and attachment creates conflict. So now that we know this gives us something that we can start to work with. Especially around hope and fear, there's a recognition that hope and fear can only happen in past or present tense. I hope to change something in the future. I hope not to repeat something from the past. I'm afraid of something in the future. I'm afraid of repeating the past. When you're present, hope and fear don't show up. So this is one tool that you can use to have less conflict in your life, is to practice more presence. And to recognize that when you feel conflict, either with others or with yourself, that you're living not now, that your mind has taken you to the future or to the past. You can bring yourself back to now, right? And this is basic mindfulness meditation. This is the absolute most basic way to try and make your life better, is to spend more time here and now. Because here and now, there's only joy. That's crazy. That's its whole own video that we could talk about, and maybe we will in an upcoming video. But trust me when I say that now is only joy. It's when we step into the fear of the unknown future, or the fear of repeating the past, or the hope of holding on to a past that we enjoyed, that relationship that we never want to end, and we sit in fear of it changing, and then we're suddenly in conflict with that person who wants to leave. And we're the ones that suffer. The person feeling the conflict is the one that suffers. And the easiest, or rather the simplest tool, because it's not always easy, to combat that conflict is to be present. So that's what we've got for today. In the next video, we're going to talk about a couple other tools that you can use to step more into joy. But at the very base, what I want you to start to do is identify, first off, just who are you in conflict with right now in your life? Because I guarantee it's at least a couple people. Who are they? I'm in conflict with my sister. I'm in conflict with my significant other. I'm in conflict with myself. And then identify what are the conflicts and phrase it in such a way that you're owning your responsibility. I'm in conflict with this person because I'm attached to the idea that they should or I should. And then identify, are you trying to hold on to a past? Are you trying to avoid a past? Are you trying to hope for a future? Are you trying to avoid a change, a terrible future? Just start to identify this stuff. It doesn't cost you anything but a couple of minutes. And then start to bring it back to now. Start to bring yourself back to now. Start to let go of the future and the past and the hope and the fear and the conflict. Let those things go just a little bit and pay attention to what is going on around you right now. What noises are there? Maybe it's a weed eater. What smells? What sights? Just live in your senses for a moment and then go back to your conflict if you need to. But give yourself that little bit of space. And in the next couple of videos, we'll explore more tools for stepping out of conflict and into joy. Until next time, keep up the great work, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.